It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo Parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science Potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you and welcome to this special edition of Science Bowl. The two teams you're about to meet are vying for the chance to go on to this year's finals. The first of the final four will be determined today in our elementary school competition. Let's meet today's teams. First from Berwyn Heights Elementary, please say hello to Alexander Swizdak, Elias Herrera Guzman, and Owen McCloskey. And from Northview Elementary, please say hello to Brandon Jackson, Tyler Ziegler, and Kuba Yadam. And now here are the categories of questions we use on the Science Bowl.
Okay, Mr. Z, here's today's categories. Green Things, questions about plants and all things green and growing. Zoo Parade, a Noah's Ark of questions about animals. Body Systems, we'll see how much you know about yourself, about things like breathing and growing and digesting your food. Let's Get Physical, questions that test your knowledge of physics and chemistry, earth science and space science. Then there's Science Potpourri. Here's a grab bag of science questions, everything from air pollution to the kitchen sink. And finally, Dateline Science. We'll ask you about science history and science in the news.
Here on the Science Bowl, our game board reflects question difficulty. Easier questions on the left, worth 5 and 10 points. Tougher ones, 15, 20, and ultimately 25, the toughest question of them all. Both of our teams start at 50 points, no penalties ever for incorrect answers. Into the 2 rounds, we will have the first of this year's final 4 in our elementary competition. Let's make sure everything works properly. Elias, would you try the red team's buzzer for me? Thank you, young man. Good luck to you, to Alexander, and to Owen. And Tyler, would you try yours? It too looks and sounds just fine. Good luck to you, to Kuba, and to Brandon. Congratulations, guys. Very few elementary schools make it to this level of the competition, so you guys are really talented, and we're so happy to have you back. Let's have a really good game. Northview, Berwyn Heights, we go alphabetically, B before N, so Elias and Berwyn Heights start the game.
May I get green things for 5?
Green things for 5 points. Teams, if you cross a mandarin orange with a bitter orange, you get this hybridized T initial citrus fruit.
Tangerine.
Berwyn Heights.
Tangerine.
A tangerine. I was about to say one of the bowls in Florida where they play football on New Year's Day is the Tangerine Bowl. Red. Go.
May I get Zoo Parade for 5?
Zoo Parade for 5 points. Teams, you know, a group of lions is a pride, a group of elephants is a herd, but there is no group name for this member, this largest member of the squirrel family that never lives in groups and famously practices amateur meteorology. Berwyn Heights.
Groundhog?
The groundhog, exactly right. You never see a group of groundhogs. They all just live by themselves, and every February 2nd, Punxsutawney Phil pops up and sees his shadow, or he doesn't. Go, Red.
May I get Body Systems for 5?
Body Systems for 5 points. Teams, if you ever saw the movie The Sound of Music, there's a song called My Favorite Things. One of the lyrics is about snowflakes landing on your face. 2 places in particular. It goes, girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes. Tyler?
Girls dresses. Nose.
You're singing it to yourself. No. Can you give me those?
The snowflakes land on your nose.
Your nose, that's right. Exactly. Snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes. That's it. You get your 5 points. Go. Green.
Green things for 15.
Is that correct, judges? Is it green? Can we flip the light, please? Okay. I'm sorry, Tyler. You said what?
Green things for 15.
Green things for 15 points. Your question is this one. It's a visual question. Look at the monitor in the studio, please. Teams, these are all different kinds of bulbs for hyacinths and daffodils and tulips. At the various levels, you should plant them for optimal growth. Each one of those bulbs is like a little hibernation chamber for what tiny plant in each of them that has to be protected over the winter. What do we call that tiny green plant inside each of them? Northview.
Seed? The seed?
Not the seed, no. What's the name of that little plant in there, Elias?
Seedling?
Good try. The embryo. It's the embryo inside each one that will burst forth when it finally gets above ground. Go again, green.
Zoo parade for 10.
Zoo parade for 10 points. Teams, strange but true. In a lot of salons and spas now, when women go in for facials, the women there put this substance, a mucus, on their face that comes from what slow-moving land mollusks? Northview. Snail snot all over your face. I don't know how good that would do any good. Anyhow, some people are paying for it. Yeah, kind of creepy, right, Cuba? Go, green.
Body systems for 15.
Body systems for 15 points. Teams, it is appropriate that the top vertebra in your spinal column is named for this Greek titan who carried the world on his shoulders, Northview.
Atlas.
Atlas, absolutely right. The atlas bone beneath it is the axis bone. Green.
Body systems for 10.
Body systems for 10 points. Teams, because football is such a violent game, fullback Derek Coleman of the Seattle Seahawks cannot wear a cochlear implant to help correct his what? Berwyn Heights.
Cochlear.
The brain?
Not the brain. No. Derek Coleman could benefit from wearing a cochlear implant, but it is too violent when he plays football because Derek Coleman suffers from what?
He can't hear.
He can't hear. He is deaf. He is deaf. Absolutely right. Good comeback. Go green.
Let's get physical for 5.
The physical for 5 points. Teams, what same word describes the quantity that you get if you get density and you divide it by volume, and it is also one of the services in the Catholic Church? Northview.
Buoyancy?
Not buoyancy, no. Density is this quantity divided by volume. It is also a term that describes a service in the Catholic Church. The Mass. The Mass. Try again, green.
Zoo parade for 20.
Zoo parade for 20 points. Seems your question is as follows. While some bony fish are threatened with extinction, fully 1/4 of these kinds of fish, that includes sharks and rays, are threatened with extinction. What kind of fish are we talking about, Northview?
Invertebrates?
Not invertebrates. Even though some bony fish are threatened with extinction, so too are 1/4 of all of these kinds of fish that include sharks and rays. These are fish that have skeletons made of cartilage. There's a cartilaginous fish. As you know, there are no bones in sharks. Okay, the buzzer has rung. That means we've come to the end of the first round of play. That means time to check that score. Berwyn Heights 60, Northview 90. We'll be back with the second half in just a moment. Don't go away.
I tell people I have 3 kids, one of them's adopted, I just don't know which one.
I can't imagine having to be in a birth mother's position to make that choice.
You know, I was kind of just asking her, you know, what is your motivation? Why are you doing this? And she looked at me and she said, because you can give my son a life that I could not.
We always tell her, thank you. He is such a blessing to us.
Every day is just a ray of sunshine from him. So we're Chanda and Brian, and we chose adoption.
Welcome back to Science Bowl. Nice to have you here today. One of the top games of the season, deciding who goes on to the finals. We started with 40 elementary schools. We go down to the Final Four, one of whom will be one of these 2 schools. Great schools. Let's find out about them. Let's go to Berwyn Heights first. And Elias, tell us about Berwyn Heights. First of all, were there any alternates on your team?
There's Kai Aganoy, Marcio Morales, and Peter Roberts.
Wonderful. And they're out there, and they're trying to yell the answers through the walls. We can't hear them, but I know they're playing along with us, and I know they are just as talented as you guys are, and you're doing a great job here today. How'd you get ready for this game?
We practice every Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Wow. And how do you practice?
We play like basically the same bases as Science Bowl.
Yeah.
And we both have our shadow team and us compete against each other.
Boy, that's just perfect.
We
And I know Go ahead.
We also practiced on the Monday before today.
That's great. That's great. Of course, all of our past shows are on YouTube, too, so you can kind of watch to get the idea of what I sound like and the kinds of questions that we ask here. Let me find out about your school first. Who's your principal?
Dr. Karen Singer.
Dr. Karen Singer is out there. And the sponsor of your team is Mr. Brett Goldstein, and he's out there. And I know how much he has worked to get you guys ready for this today. You're all wearing those red shirts. Now, that's not a requirement at school, is it? It's not a uniform school.
No.
Okay. But on this cold day, those long sleeves are, I'm sure, much appreciated. Tell me about Berwyn Heights. I know music is important there. I know arts are important there. What else about the school should we know?
That we have excellent teachers there that sometimes mix fun with learning, but at the same time give us a good deal of learning the subjects that we're supposed to be learning.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, that's just great. And excellent teachers. Boy, without excellent teachers, you don't have a school. There's no reason to show up. They have a lot to impart, just like Mr. Goldstein does for you. Thanks, Elias. That's a nice commercial. What do you want to do when you get older?
I want to be an engineer.
Engineer. Well, you're engineering a very nice game here today. You play well with your two colleagues here. Owen, tell me about yourself. What do you want to do someday?
Either be an inventor or a psychologist.
Why an inventor? Have you invented anything yet?
That is not Legos, no.
Okay, but Legos count, because I know you and Alexander are both into Legos. And tell me about psychology. Psychology is an interesting field for someone so young. Why are you thinking about that?
Well, I had pretty good practice in school, and I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah. Well, psychologists are good observers of human nature, and that can take place at any age. And we all have to be good psychologists to get through life. So I wish you luck. Nice to have you with us today. And Alexander, we were just talking about Legos. How long have you been playing with Legos?
Probably since maybe I was 4. Not sure. I remember getting my first Lego set maybe 4 or 5. The second Lego set was a big brick box.
Wow. And Legos isn't just a toy or fun. You can see yourself doing things with Legos later on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be a certified Lego professional when I grow up.
Wow. Is there such a thing?
Yes, there is.
Wow.
Some of them are just certified by Lego as a really good Lego builder and make books and publish them and do other things. And some of them actually work for Lego designing things. And you know,
Legos have been, you could probably tell me, they've been around for a long time, so they're not going to go away. So I think that's a very interesting aspiration, and it's something you love. So good luck to you. Northview, nice to have you guys back here in your white lab coats, looking very professional over there. Tyler, tell me how you get ready for this game.
We practice on Mondays and Fridays.
Mondays and Fridays. All right. So that's a given. You show up each time. It's a discipline. Your sponsors expect you to be there. And what do you do when you practice?
We watch games and do trivia, and we share facts that we gather over the week or the weekend. That's
wonderful. So you keep up on things because you know our questions come from the news, sometimes as late as right before you get here. So that's just wonderful. Who's the principal at Northview?
Mr. Simmons.
Mr. Simmons, and I know he comes to our games, and I think he might even be here today. We'll bring him out in just a few moments. Mr. Moffat and Miss Grover here, your two excellent sponsors. And they don't have on the white lab coats. They let you guys do that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any alternates on your team?
We have Benke, which is his twin brother, and then we have Samaya.
Wonderful. And they have on those lab coats. We'll see them in just a few moments. Integral parts of this team. And they, too, are yelling those answers from down in our green room. Tell me what it is about Northview that everybody should know, Tyler.
That's an interesting question. Everybody should know that at Northview we have fun, and it's like a good atmosphere for learning. And you could be anything there. Yeah, well, isn't that,
if you can be anything you want, if those teachers give you that feeling, then you're in the right place, because that's the way you should be in school. Thinking about, if I want to be president of the United States, maybe I could be, anything at all. That's just great. Tell me what you want to do someday.
I want to be an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur. And your business is going to be?
A hotel.
A hotel, that's right. What are you going to call your hotel? Have you thought about that yet?
Well, I put some thought into it, but I just can't come up with a good name.
You've got plenty of time to do that. You're a great captain, Tyler. Kuba, nice to have you here. So your twin brother is out there. Mm-hmm. Who decided who got to play today?
Well, when we're at practice, we normally do a vote so like to keep it fair.
Yes.
And so when we voted, we got Brandon, Tyler, and me.
Wonderful. Well, democratic. That's the way it should be. And I'm sure your sponsors, you know, they weigh in as well because they're the coaches. You have to listen to the coach. You're a fine young man, and I know you've got everything planned out in your life. You're even thinking about when you're retiring, you're going to have little knickknacks. Is that it? Do you have things like that at home now?
Well, no, but when I'm like at those kind of arcades kind of places, they sell those little toys. So I'm thinking of saving them when I'm growing up.
And you know, if you save those things, if nothing else, someday they'll be very valuable. You can put them on eBay, if they're still on eBay when you get to be that age. But you want to be a scientist first, and you want to be a Wall Street banker, and then eventually do that. Wish you luck in all those things. Brandon, tell me about you. What do you do in your spare time?
I play video games.
Video games. If you're not playing video games, what else do you do?
Bake.
You do what? Bake. I didn't know you baked. Now, did you bring us any cookies?
No.
Did you bring us a cake?
No.
I'm trying to get you some points here, Brandon. No cakes, no cookies, no pies?
No.
Oh, Brandon, what's your favorite thing to bake?
Cakes.
What kind of cake?
Chocolate.
Chocolate cake. Okay, what kind of icing are you going to put on it for me?
Sometimes vanilla and sometimes chocolate.
So if I'm good, you'll get me the chocolate. If not, I get the vanilla, huh? Brandon, nice to have you here. Hope you're enjoying our game. Let's get back to it. Northview 90, Berwyn Heights 60. Lots of points to give away. Last correct answer came from the green team. Tyler, start us out.
Zoo Parade for 15.
Zoo Parade for 15 points. Teams, the only primate that is purely terrestrial is this one. Berwyn Heights.
Us. The gorilla? The gorilla?
Not the gorilla. Northview, the only primate that is purely terrestrial is this one.
Orangutan.
Human beings. Human beings. Alexander, I think, said us, and he was right. I heard him out of the corner here. Go again, green.
Green things for 10.
Green things for 10 points. Teams, your question is as follows. Even in the hot springs in Yellowstone National Park, algae have adapted to that warm temperature and continue to do this that all plants do to make food. They continue to do what, Berwyn Heights?
Photosynthesis?
Yes, indeed. They can photosynthesize. Indeed. Good. Go green. Red.
May I get science potpourri for 5?
Science?
Potpourri.
Science potpourri for 5 points. Teams, for the first time ever, the Westminster Dog Show is admitting mutts, and not just dogs that are pure what? Northview.
Breeds.
Breeds. That's it. Good. 5 points. Northview.
Zoo Parade for 25.
Zoo Parade 25. Big one in that category. Teams, an interesting question. Magnitude of growth. You would think that from the smallest to the biggest might be a newborn whale to an adult whale, or maybe a cub from a grizzly bear and an adult grizzly bear. But the greatest magnitude of growth is from this tiny embryo that climbs up through the fur into its mother's pouch. Northview.
The kangaroo.
And a kangaroo is a kind of what?
What's it called? Not placental. Marsupial?
Yes, indeed, a marsupial. Marsupials have the grades because they are born just as a tiny embryo, then they fully develop inside the pouch. Nicely done. Go green.
Green things for 25.
Green things for 25. Big one in that category is a multiple choice question. Teams, the beautiful flowers known as orchids. Sometimes you see them in corsages. Most of them are known as epiphytes, meaning they don't need any soil to grow. They are very tolerant of dry conditions, or they bloom only once. All epiphytes do what, Tyler?
They bloom only once.
No, they don't just bloom once. Do they tolerate dry conditions, or do they not need soil to grow?
They do not need soil to grow?
They do not need soil to grow. That's right, they are air plants. Good, Red. Good comeback. Go, Elias.
May I get Dateline signs for 5?
Dateline for 5 points. Teams, you might have seen it in the newspaper. The police on Capitol Hill downtown are doing nothing to protect the squirrels as they are being captured and eaten by this mammal that we know is very sly. Berwyn Heights.
Fox?
The sly foxes, yeah. Ooh, those squirrels are juicy. They're getting some big ones done there. Go, Red.
Let's get physical for 10?
Get physical for 10 points. Teams, What simple machine could be described as an inclined plane wrapped helically around an axis? Berwyn Heights.
A screw.
A screw. That's it. Thanks, Alex, for your assist. Go.
May I
Red.
get science potpourri for 10?
Potpourri for 10 points. Score update. Berwyn Heights 110. Northview 120. This is science potpourri for 10 points. Teams. The Christ the Redeemer statue atop a tall mountain in Rio recently had one of its fingers damaged by one of these electrical discharges. Northview.
Lightning.
Lightning hit it. That's it. Good. Green.
Body systems for 20.
Body systems for 20 points. Teams. If a human body has the head taken off, the arms taken off, and the legs taken off, the only part left is this T initial part. Berwyn Heights.
Torso.
Torso or trunk is right. Red.
May I get Dateline Science for 10?
Dateline for 10 points. Teams. The U.S. government made a bad decision in the early 1900s. They poisoned this intoxicating drink to keep people from drinking it during Prohibition. Berwyn Heights.
Alcohol.
Alcohol, absolutely right. There are safer ways to denature alcohol than to add poison to it. 140, 130, 10-point advantage. Red.
Let's get physical for 15.
Let's get physical for 15 points. Teams, these stored power sources oftentimes have chemical elements like nickel and cadmium and lithium. But now by adding carbon instead, they are increasing it by twice the power.
Batteries?
Berwyn Heights.
Batteries?
Batteries is right. Yes, good. Red. Thanks, Alex.
May I get science potpourri for 15?
Potpourri for 15 points. Visual. Look at the monitor, please, in the studio. This cockroach has looked like this for thousands of years. It is trapped in tree resin that is hardened into what substance? Name that substance, Tyler.
Amber.
It is amber. Yes, ma'am. Go.
Green things for 20.
Green things, 20 points. Question is as follows, multiple choice. The soft tissue in a tree that eventually becomes the xylem and the phloem is which of the following that beaver love to eat? The cortex, the cork, or
bark.
Northview.
Bark.
Not bark, no. Berwyn Heights, the soft tissue in a tree that turns into xylem and phloem is a favorite food of the beavers. Is it the cortex, the cork, or the cambium?
Dry cork.
Cambium is the correct answer. Go green.
Body systems for 25.
Body systems for 25. The big one in that category. Teams, listen carefully. The cysts that characterize the disease cystic fibrosis are found in this organ that produces insulin. Northview, Tyler for 25 points. Name that organ.
Liver.
Not the liver. Good try. What organ that produces insulin in your body is where the cysts form in cystic fibrosis lies?
Pancreas.
Pancreas is right. Yes, good. Red.
May I get Dateline Science for 15?
Dateline for 15 points. Teams, recently a lady on the radio said, boy, I'm afraid of all the bacteria flying around the air during this flu season. She doesn't have to worry about the bacteria. What really causes the flu are these.
Virus.
Viruses is this. Yes, good. Go.
Let's get physical for 20.
Let's get physical for 20 points. Teams, the swirling motion in the atmosphere where there is an interference with the flow of wind is described by this term that pilots often use as the reason for making you put on your seatbelt. Berwyn Heights.
Turbulence.
Turbulence, absolutely right. We are expecting some turbulence. Buckle up and stay in your seats, says Pilot Alexander. Good. Red.
May I get science potpourri for 20?
Potpourri for 20 points. Teams, two-part answer. I need them both. The bacteria that are found in yogurt, sometimes called probiotics, are said by doctors to be very advantageous to what two body systems? Which two of your body systems benefit most from probiotics? Correct answer is the digestive system and the immune system. 4 questions left. Go red.
May I get Dateline Science for 20?
Dateline for 20 points. Teams, when William Röntgen couldn't decide what to call the radiation that just let him see the bones in his hand for the first time, Berwyn Heights.
X-ray.
X is what he called it. I'll call them X-rays, that anonymous letter. Yes, sir.
Let's get physical for 25.
Let's get physical for 25 points. Teams, the effect that explains the sound of an ambulance getting louder as it gets closer. Tyler.
Doppler effect.
Doppler. Good. Go. Green.
Science potpourri for 25.
Potpourri for 25. Big one in that category. Teams. Emperor penguins can dive underwater and stay underwater for over an hour because they have more blood than we do, and they have more of this oxygen-carrying... Tyler?
Cells.
No, not cells. They have more of this oxygen-carrying pigment in their blood.
Iron? Iron?
No, iron is part of it. It's called hemoglobin. Iron is in the hemoglobin. Last question, 25 points. Dateline is this. We all know that the most famous scientist is Albert Einstein, but the first scientist was this Greek who discovered... Elias.
Aristotle?
Not Aristotle. Northview, the very first scientist was this Greek who taught us a lot about volume and density by taking a king's crown made of gold and putting it into a bathtub. Who was he? Archimedes was the right answer. With that, we come to the end of the game. It looks like Berwyn Heights is going to the finals. We'll be right back.
Engineers Without Borders USA answers the call with more than 225 university and professional chapters from a wide spectrum of disciplines. With more than 400 sustainable engineering projects in more than 45 countries, our organization is changing the world. If you would like to find out more about how you, too, can change the world, visit www.ewb-usa.org and click Get Involved. Engineers Without Borders USA. Building a better world, one community at a time.
Did you know 80% of the world's fur comes from fur farms in China? On these farms, animals live their entire lives in small wired cages. They are exposed to harsh weather extremes. Many animals go insane from confinement. Others suffer and die because of untreated wounds and disease. The unlucky few who survive are bludgeoned to death, have their skulls bashed in, and their skin removed, many while still conscious. There are no laws to protect them, but you can help. Sometimes it's what you don't do that helps the most. Please don't buy fur or fur trim. Contact In Defense of Animals for more information. Thank you.
I can have text all night long, but not when I'm driving.
What's the point of texting me about a party that you might not make it to?
I don't text and drive. Do you?
Do you?
Do you? Did you say text or sex? Hey, I got an idea. As long as you're texting, why don't you write your own obituary, dumb? I don't text and drive.
Do you?
We don't text and drive. Do you?
Brought to you by Rad and Terry Fader. This holiday season, don't let your friends text and drive.
Party!
Welcome back to Science Bowl. So we have a first of our 4 finalists, Berwyn Heights. That does not take anything away from the wonderful performance of Northview. Let's have a round of applause for Northview, Tyler and Kuba and Brandon. What a terrific game. What a great run you have had. So close to the championship again. It's going to be next year your turn. Our final tally is Northview 170, Berwyn Heights 235. Alexander and Elias and Owen and Marcia and Kai and Peter and Mr. Goldstein. We will see you in the finals. A sea of red. We'll see you then. And Northview, I'm going to miss these lab coats. I want to keep seeing them. Brandon and Tyler and Kuba and Bonke and is it Nyla? No, it's Samaya and Samaya. And we wish Samaya a happy birthday today. Happy birthday, Samaya. Miss Grove and Mr. Moffat, thank you for all you do. You are the best sponsors we have on our Science Bowl, bar none. Mr. Simmons, the principal, thank you for being here to support your school. You're just terrific, and you're terrific to spend time with us. We'll see you next time on Science Bowl. Bye-bye.